which are coming right up. It wasn't as entertaining of a game as probably anybody wanted, except maybe Seattle fans. But even them, no touchdowns in the first half. This is one of the plays that led to the touchdownless first half. It's Cooper Kupp trying to reel in a tough catch, and this pause kind of shows you that he was having some trouble, right? So right before the second half, Cooper Kupp was trying to make this catch. It was initially ruled a completion, right?
I believe so.
And then overturned to be a incompletion. So we'll see Cooper Kupp here try to reel this ball in.
So we do see him lose it. It's not yet on the ground. That's what's important to know. Yes, they did. So as you see, it was a review that it did hit the ground. And Zach, you and I actually had some live disagreements about this. You originally disagreed with this call. Do you kind of want to state your case first?
Yeah, I'll go ahead with my case. I do think that I still think this is a catch, albeit it's close. But the reason we wanted to highlight this call, because at the end of the day, it wasn't super impactful. I think it's important to understand the rules of the catch relating to a play like this, where a player's just securing as it goes to the ground. So the reason I think that this is a catch is because when the ball touches the ground, which is here, it appears that he has full control of it. The ball doesn't move. He keeps both hands on it. It doesn't jar free of his control, and then he lifts it up off the ground with his fingers and then loses control. So, and then, of course, he would regain control after that. They don't show the whole play. But since he was in control for the brief nanosecond it was touching the ground, then lost control afterwards, I think that this is a catch. It reminds me of that Colby Parkinson play that was so weird, Lions and Rams, where the ref said that he regained control in the end zone and it's a touchdown, whatever. This one is more obvious because we can see the ball. I think that he had control when it was touching the ground. So you can rule it a catch. That's what the NFL did in that play, right?
Yeah, my thing is I don't think that he has control. I think I see what you're talking about where it doesn't move, but I think that the ground stops it from continuing to move. And with just him having his fingertips on it like that, I don't think that's enough to say he's got full control of the ball, especially since he does lose possession. Which you can have control and then lose possession. But with him just having it on his fingertips, quite literally on his fingertips, I can't rule this as possession yet.
Interesting. So you're saying that since the fingertip grab didn't allow for control and it touched the ball without him having control, it's an incomplete pass. That's your argument.
Yes.
Okay, and that makes sense. I couldn't argue with the refs if that's what their ruling was, because we've seen it happen before, right? We have absolutely seen it happen. I mean, look at the Isaiah Likely call. They really didn't have control when the defender knocked it out. This is even less control than Likely had, and so it hits the ground without control. Fair, but I just think that. It's really tough because it does look like he actually corrals it here. And he stops the ball from moving. The ground doesn't stop it because the ground so barely grazes it. It doesn't stop its movement. But then the ball does come free here, totally of his hands. So
my only thing though is I know the rule states that it can touch the ground as long as you have full control. That's what your argument is. However, I've personally never seen a ball touch the ground and it get ruled incomplete unless the ruling is it was control and the ground jarred it loose type of thing.
Right. Yeah, it is interesting. Had the ball moved, had the ground jarred it free from his fingertips, no question, right? But it's the fact that he kind of remains in control of it until after the ball is no longer on the ground that leads me. But I don't hate them overturning this one. I don't think it's egregious in any way. The NFL catch rules are so confusing and often contradictory that this is one of those instances where you could rule either way and it wouldn't actually be wrong necessarily, right? There can be disagreement, but it's certainly not egregious, right?
Sure. And a catch or no catch that really didn't impact. I mean, it didn't impact the game. Seattle won anyway. If that's the most controversial call, I think it's a good crew. Unfortunately, there is another call that we have to break down.